I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. I want to do a series this fall and over the winter here on the basics of real estate, on buying and selling real estate. I've done this in the past, but it's been about 5 years probably since I've done a blog kind of on the basics. If you're thinking about buying a property, whether that's a principal residence or an investment property, and the process as far as putting in offers and deposits and removing subjects and all that good stuff, as well as selling your property. So I'm going to do a series here over the next 2 or 3 months just on a new topic each time, on just kind of the basics and the fundamentals of either buying or selling real estate. So this one I want to talk about selling real estate and just some of the things that you want to focus on if you're a seller. If you're thinking about selling your home later this fall or the winter or next spring, some of the things that you're going to want to do, a checklist, and what you can expect when working with your realtor, and kind of how I work and things to look for. So the first thing that I always suggest, and I've done blogs on this many times before, is when you're thinking about selling your home, interview a few realtors for the job. You know, I'm sure everybody now knows a realtor, either in your beer league hockey team or someone you went to school with or a coworker's friend. But, you know, all realtors are not created equal. This is a pretty cruel business, the Vancouver real estate market. It really is. There are over 14,000 realtors in the Vancouver Real Estate Board, and probably only about the top 20% are actually really making a full-time living at this business. The typical realtor only does about 3 or 4 ends a year, so that is not what we call an end, is a buy or sell. Not enough to live on. You know, I would say the top 5% of the realtors are really taking the lion's share of the business. And that's just the way every sales profession works. The top 2 or 3% are getting the lion's share of the business. Nothing wrong with someone. First off, I should point out there are a lot of part-time realtors out there and a lot of people that hold their license just to have access to the data and things like that. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to list and sell your home, and it's probably going to be the most valuable asset you own, everyone wants to get maximum price. So I wouldn't leave it to chance. You want to hire a listing and marketing specialist, someone who does a lot of sales, has a lot of experience, and has a pretty extensive marketing plan. All realtors are not created equal. Interview some. So when you interview them, my interview or my audition generally only takes about 15 minutes, unless they have a lot more questions, which I'm more than happy to answer. But I will bring out my marketing plan that I use for all my listings. I have a lot of things that are exclusive to me. One of the main ones is access to the Vancouver Sun weekend home section. All my new listings will get put in the Vancouver Sun on Saturday. It's read by 300,000 or 400,000 people, advertising as a new listing and the open house. I also do a lot of internet advertising, as people know, custom brochures, high-end photography. So for about 5 minutes, I will just show them what my marketing program is all about, some of the things I use to get added exposure to my listings. When you're ready to list your house, you know, a realtor will give you a CMA, or a comparative market analysis, and where they're going to suggest you price your home. Pricing is the key. And this is what separates kind of the part-time realtor from the full-time pro, because they will base that off of market stats, what recently has been sold. But you have to go one step better than that. A good listing realtor, an experienced listing realtor, has a much better bead on the market. Looking at past sales over the last 2 or 3 months are going to tell you a little bit, or looking at what the sales activity has been from the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board month over month. That'll give you some idea of where the market's at. But it really takes an experienced realtor who has lots of listings, always has listings, is privy to offers every week on their other listings, to give you a proper bead on where the market's going. Because pricing is one part analytical and one part science. You really need to be ahead of the market. And for instance, if a realtor is telling you to price it at X amount, and let's say it's a little bit higher than what the comps have sold at recently, what is their reasoning behind that? Why are you pricing a little bit higher? Now, for me, that might be, hey, you've got a little bit better unit or a superior location to some of the ones that have sold. It might be, I'm picking up more market activity. I'm getting a lot more opens. I'm getting a lot more offers on my current listings. you kind of want to be one step ahead of the market. It might be that, hey, inventory is low for the 2-bedroom, 2-bath you have in this neighborhood. We don't have much competition. So, hey, let's test it a little bit higher, see where it is. And hey, after a couple of weeks, if we don't have any serious interest in it, then we'll reduce it a little bit. But your realtor should be able to tell you pretty quickly their reasoning for where they want to price your home compared to the CMA. Why are they pricing it here? Where do they see the market going? What's the inventory like? What are they seeing from their other listings? You want to be one step ahead of the market, and that's very important with pricing a home. It has to be done right, and you got to do it right the first time. Pricing a home out in no man's land and then systematically reducing it and it's on the market for 3 or 4 months, you're losing a lot of your marketing momentum there. Some of the other things, once you get your home listed, you take an offer. The offer is probably going to have subjects. There's a couple of things you're going to want to negotiate. First off, the price is the big one. That's the main one. And then, of course, the dates, the closing and completion dates. Generally, completion date is 5 to 6 weeks. So after you get an accepted offer, the subjects are removed. It's generally 5 to 6 weeks before you're turning the keys over. Sometimes that can be shorter. Sometimes it can be longer. The offers you're going to receive are generally going to have subject clauses in them. The main ones are going to be subject to financing. I'm sure that buyer is pre-approved from their lender. But it's not finalized yet. Generally, the banks are going to want to do an appraisal on that property to make sure what they're paying is worth, the value is there, before they'll sign off on the mortgage. The other thing is it might be subject to getting a home inspection or, of course, getting all the strata documents. Subject removal can take anywhere from 5 to 8 or 9 days, sometimes quicker, sometimes longer. Sometimes you can get subject-free offers, which are always great. You don't have to take your home off the market for 8 or 9 days while the buyer removes subjects. Writing subject-free offers is pretty powerful. I've blogged about this before. If you had an offer that was at $800,000 that had a 8 weeks or 8-day subject removal with financing and documents and everything else, or you had a $790,000 subject-free offer, if it's my seller, I'm probably going to steer them towards taking that $790,000 because once you sign off on it, it's a done deal. We don't have to take it off the market and worry that the buyer is not able to remove subjects because that hurts. I get them every year where you get an accepted offer. 5 days later, 6 days later, they call you up and say, "Owen, my buyer can't get the financing." Back on the market. But now you've had it off the market for a week, you've lost a lot of that marketing momentum. Again, this is what an experienced realtor will do for you though here. With me, I want to know where this buyer is at. Is he taking out a high ratio mortgage? Is it a conventional mortgage? 20% down? How well is he financed? What's his down payment amounts? These are things that your realtor, should be doing for you to try and mitigate the chances of this buyer walking away and not being able to remove subjects. Once subject removal is done, you've got what we call a firm deal. Completion could be as, again, 5 or 6 weeks down the road. But again, the final summary here is that if you're thinking about listing your home, interview a few realtors for the job. If you're selling a downtown Vancouver condo, use a realtor who sells lots of condos downtown and buys lots of condos downtown. Have them show you some of the recent sales they've had, either on the buying or listing side. Where were those homes compared to what else is sold in the building? These are all just basic questions that you want to ask your realtor because they're not all created equal. Have a look at their marketing program. What are they going to do beyond just putting it on the MLS and running an open house? What extra things are they going to do? What are their presentation materials look like? Ask for samples. I think we all have seen stuff on the MLS. I shake my head every day at some of the stuff I see on there. Incomplete data, things that aren't filled out with room sizes, no description of the property, all kinds of missing information, photos that are taken with a camera phone. I've got one on here that I'm looking at tomorrow with a client that 2 of the photos are upside down. And they've been upside down. It's not like it's a new listing. It's been listed for 2 weeks and they've never bothered to even correct the photos. So we've all seen these things. Hire a pro, hire an experienced realtor. As I say, my presentation, I'm in and out in 15 or 20 minutes. Here's what I'm going to do for you. interview a few other realtors. I would love the opportunity to represent you. Give me a call. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.